Okay, guys, so I'm going to be showing you guys what your project is for the rest of this week. So you guys are going to be working on one project and be turning in your project at the end of the week on Friday. So here you can see is your project. It's titled The Russian Revolution Recipe, and you guys are going to be creating a recipe that would create the Russian Revolution, but you get to create it with any sort of different type of food. So you can make a recipe about hamburgers that equals up to the Russian Revolution. You can make a recipe for tacos, lasagna, ravioli, cake, cookies, whatever you would like it to be, you get to make it. But we've been talking about different revolutions, and especially yesterday when you listened to the online lecture, you guys learned about the Russian Revolution, and you start to see some tendencies with all these revolutions happening. So we're going to have you pull out those tendencies and the ones specific to the Russian Revolution to create this recipe. So first thing to remember is that you will need a fully detailed ingredients list, because when you go look in a cookbook, you have to see what ingredients you need before you make something. Okay, you will need at least 6 ingredients. Okay, ingredients are things that took place in a country prior to people like fighting, government being overthrown, things like that. So things that took place prior to the government being overthrown. Okay, so 6 of ingredients, and you will need to use like measurements. You can use like teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, a gallon, I guess. Um, you can use like a dash, a sprinkle, a drizzle, whatever type of words that you want to use to describe those ingredients and for measurements, but you will need measurements for the ingredients. Then you will need the directions, okay? Because every uh, recipe has directions for how to actually make the recipe. You will need at least 6 directions. You're not limited to that, but you will need at least 6. And that is how you're actually creating the revolution slash like product of whatever you're creating. So, something that's optional is that you can include variations, and I'll talk about that later on. Um, the biggest thing though is that you guys are specific with your wording. Okay, you need to be detailed with the language that you're using. So I don't want to see a cup full of mad people. Okay, well, people are mad about a lot of things. What makes these mad people particular to this? Like, why are they mad? Okay, so you would need to be more specific instead of just saying mad people. Okay, so you need to be specific with your language. Once again, I want to reiterate there's no maximum amount of steps. So even though we say 6, that's the bare minimum requirement. You are allowed to use more than 6. Okay, sometimes recipes are simple, sometimes recipes are complex, depending on what you are creating in the end. Like you make a taco is going to be a little more simpler to make than for, say, a cake. Cake has a lot more steps that go into it, or a pie or something like that. Be sure to include the approximate time it'll take, the prep time, and who it serves. And I'll show you that on the template, but you can be creative with this and kind of make connections to history, and I'll show you that here in a second. But finally, look over everything, and does it really describe what happened during the Russian Revolution? So here is an example template. You would need the name of your recipe. You would need a picture of the end product on it. You would need how many it serves, the prep time, the cook time. You need at least 6 ingredients. We would like you to have a couple of pictures of your ingredients, so you can put that on there, at least one, maybe 2. You need at least 6 pieces of directions, or 6 steps in the directions, and we would like you to include a couple pictures for the directions. You can do this digitally, or you may do this hand drawn. Either one works. We do not care. Both will be turned into Google Classroom by the end of the day on Friday for you guys to receive credit. Digitally, I would suggest using Google Slides. You could use Canva if you wanted to, but Google Slides is pretty user friendly. And I will show you how to make your Google slide this size. I'll do a separate little tutorial video. So you can do it digitally, or you can do it hand drawn. So here are some different hand drawn examples. These guys, just so you know, are about general revolutions. You're doing yours over the Russian. When I very first created this project, I found an example of it in Instagram, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. This will spice up our Russian Revolution unit. And so I made it more specific to the Russian Revolution. But the lady I got it from did it for revolution in general. These are examples from last year that you guys can look at if you have some time. But you can see like Russian ravioli, uh, communist cake was used a lot, communist cookies, those kind of things. Here is the digital example that I created. So I created a digital example for the American Revolution, because I didn't want to give you a full out example for the Russian, because I want you guys to think about it. But I created one about the American Revolution. So I came up with a, a kind of creative title, American Apple Crisp. So I decided, like, what's the most American thing that you can think of? And normally it's apple pie, which I was like, I'm going to switch it up. We're going to do apple crisp. So, titled it American Apple Crisp because it's about the American Revolution. You can see the colors and stuff all kind of apply to the Revolution. But on my ingredients list, you can see I have my list here. I have a picture. So, for example, 13 cups of unfairly taxed angry colonists. Hey, why do you think I chose 13? There was 13 colonies. So you can do like little tie-ins to the historical event as you go throughout this. But obviously you need some angry colonists that were unfairly taxed. You need some redcoats, so we threw some of those in there. Taxation without representation, something from the American Revolution. You can see all the acts of the Revolution, a splash of Boston tea. That refers to like the Boston Tea Party, greedy King George, Enlightenment ideas, French help, stuff that happens during the American Revolution or led up to the American Revolution. You can see there were so many acts during the American Revolution. I just put the main ones, but they said, oh, but you could substitute any of these in there. That's what the variation or substitution is. So if you want to do that, you can. You don't have to. Optional. Then I have my prep time, my cook time, and how many people it serves. That's where I kind of got creative because the Revolution lasted about 10 years. The war itself lasted about 7, so that's why I did cook time versus prep time there. And I put it serves 2.4 million American colonists, since that's how many people that were living in the American colonies during the Revolutionary War. So that's kind of where I got that. So all relating to my historical topic. All yours is going to relate to the Russian Revolution. Then you can see my cooking instructions. I have 9. You guys only need 6. If you want more, you can use more. You can see I put like little pictures here that relate, angry colonists with a cup of red coats. So I did the angry people versus with the red coats. And, I preheated the oven to 1776. That's because of the Declaration of Independence. I stirred in my ingredients. But then, I didn't actually talk about the specific battle. So you don't have to be super specific and follow our graphic organizer completely. But like I put, let the ingredients mix together as they may try to come apart through battle. That's referencing the actual fighting going on. Now add a dash of greedy King George and a large sprinkle of French help, because you guys know the French did eventually help us in the American Revolution, and that's what helped us win. So let's add some French help in there. You can see we place it in the Constitutional Convention pan. They cook for 7 years. When done, let crisp cool, and then add a drizzle of Enlightenment ideas, because that's what helped us create our Constitution. So was the Enlightenment ideas, right? So old John Locke. So here you can see some images, the instructions. This is the digital example. So if you are wondering what the heck to do, you can reference this. You can also reference these examples here. These were ones done last year on paper. These are ones just about revolutions, I want to clarify. So biggest thing, 6 ingredients, couple pictures, 6 directions, couple pictures, how many people it serves, prep time, cook time, picture of the end product, and the name of your recipe. So that's what you guys are creating. The biggest thing we need you guys to accomplish today is that you figure out what you're making before you start moving on to another class. Are you making tacos? Are you making a pie? Are you making cookies? Because sometimes kids would just sit there and think for like 25 minutes and still not decide what they're making. So pick a direction and go with it. And then you guys will be working on this throughout the week. So if you guys have any questions on this, you can contact your teacher during their office hours, and they can help you with any specifications that maybe I didn't go over, maybe questions that you have. So hopefully this helps for all you guys, and have a wonderful week. We'll see ya.